Welcome to Fine Tuning with Drew Taylor, your one-stop shop when it comes to animation news and commentary. I'm Drew's co-host, entertainment writer Jim Hill, and he and I are recording this show on Thursday, September 3rd, 2020, because Drew and I are trying to knock one out early so we can then go off and have a long and restful Labor Day weekend. That is the plan, right, Drew?
Yeah, are you going to follow through on that plan, or do you have a million things that you have to do?
Well, I do have to get a new Universal joint done, but after in theory...
What are you going to talk about? The hotels are still closed? Come on.
Well, see, that's the thing. We haven't done a show in about at least 6 weeks.
Sounds like a gay romp, Jim. That's how you want to spend your weekend. Yeah.
Well, not speaking of a gay romp, you actually have seen the live-action Mulan at this point.
Yes, I have. Are you gonna pluck down $30, or are you gonna wait until December, Jim?
Again, you're anticipating my next question, because first I'm going to ask you about the movie, but let's jump to that one. How do you feel about that? Was that a smart move on Disney's part, or...?
It was actually some kind of legal requirement.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it was exactly, but they had to kind of like come clean about when it was coming onto the service. I think they had to because they were selling it. But they sort of had to let the cat out of the bag early. I still think that it's going to do well. I mean, in California, we're expecting like 107-degree weather all weekend. So people are not going to be going out. And I feel like that is they shouldn't be going out anyway, but that's another great incentive to stay in and watch Mulan and sort of get swept up in it. But that said, I was going to buy it, and then I saw that date, and I said, you know what, I can wait another few months. December will be here soon enough. Yeah, well, I've already seen it. It's fine,
Yeah, I guess in this year where time really doesn't mean anything. Yeah, I'm going to turn around and December's going to be here in 5 minutes.
It is. It's going to be there. I mean, time already works that way. It really works that way now, and everything's blurring together. But
getting back to Mulan, please tell me it's not terrible.
It's not terrible. It's actually quite good. It's beautifully photographed. It's actual locations, something that most of the Disney remakes have kind of sidestepped for a lot of set work. But this time they actually went out to China and New Zealand and shot it. It's very emotional. Yeah, I think it works really, really well. There's some sort of editorial things that I wasn't crazy about, and just some stuff that was maybe a little bit unclear, but... It's really, really great. I have a piece coming out probably on Monday about all the differences between the animated movie and the live-action movie, which was fun to write. So we'll talk about that on the next show, I'm sure. But yeah, I think you're going to like it a lot. It might be the best live-action remake, which I know we're going to get into later in the show. But yeah, it's really, really good.
Okay, well, no, that's great to hear. And by the way, I'm kind of leaning toward paying the premium price, giving them the $29 whatever, because if you work the math, a movie ticket these days, if you factor in what it would cost for Nancy and I to go to the movies, to the concession stand and get our overpriced soda and our overpriced popcorn, we would have spent $29 anyway. So we could we could sit in the comfort of our home and watch what you've just described as what sounds like a good movie. So
I think you're gonna like it a lot.
Speaking of good movies, though, I had not gotten around to watching the one and only Ivan yet. Nancy and I did that just last night. And, it's not a blockbuster by any stretch of the imagination. It's a very modest film. At one point, Nancy turned to me while watching this, and it's just sort of like, I'm just realizing these are animated it's supposed to be live action animals, and they were that good that it just sort of like, holy cow. Did you get to see the film, by the way?
Yeah, I reviewed it for Collider. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was and I loved the fact that it had this really interesting message about the animals and how they wanted to escape and stuff, but it was sort of more complicated than that. And I love that, and they made the movie in the spirit of not wanting to harm animals either, which I loved, that all the animals are computer generated. And I know that PETA has gotten behind it, and I'm a big animal guy, so I really loved that aspect of it, that these animals, they didn't pressure an elephant into actually doing anything. It's just this amazing animation by the guys that did, Lion King and Jungle Book, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, I have to admit, when I was watching it, it was one of these things where, especially given Ruby, the baby elephant character, I was wondering actually how much of what they learned with the rig that they used for Dumbo that they
Right,
applied
exactly.
to
Dumbo, they
that.
did too. Yeah. When I interviewed Danny DeVito, he said, "Oh yeah, I'm working with those NPC guys again. I'm a dog in this upcoming movie." So that was Danny DeVito last March talking about Dumbo and the one and only Ivan. So
That's great. It's surprisingly good Danny DeVito there.
thank
But
you.
again, it's charming. It's low key. But on the other hand, something that is decidedly not low key, Primal. This new world of animation release dates. So what we're getting starting on, what is it, October 4th? Is that isn't season 2? It's actually the second half of season 1.
Yes, this is the back half of season 1. I guess there were always supposed to be 10. I didn't really get any kind of indication of that when the first 5 finished airing.
Yeah.
I thought that was just it. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I need to send you. I did a hour-long talk with Gennady recently that I don't know if you watched, but yeah, he said there's going to be more, and then today we got it confirmed that it's coming back for season 2.
Yeah,
So 2021 is going to have a lot of severed dinosaur heads, I think.
When the first half of season 1 ended with Rage of the Ape Man, like the last 30 seconds of that, Fang, the female Tyrannosaurus companion of Spear, the caveman, I would bet good money that that dinosaur was not getting up.
Yes. It was a real cliffhanger, Jim. That's for sure.
But at the same time, did episode 6, actually air back on April Fool's Day? Plague of Madness?
It did. I didn't see it, but he told me that it aired then, and I had no idea, and I was very upset, Jim, to know that I didn't watch it.
No. Well, so am I. Because again, I was left hanging. This female, Fang, a character I'd come to care about in this impossibly bloody, violent show, was on the mat and not moving. And it would have nice to know back in April if she was back up and moving again.
Yeah, I'm sure she's okay.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
But it's not just us who enjoy Primal. He picked up 3 Primetime Emmys.
Yeah, special achievement Emmys. Yeah, pretty awesome. Go Primal.
It's amazing animation, wonderful design. This show is violent as hell. All right, there's a reason that it runs at 11:30 on Sunday night, where they hope every child is in bed and the door is locked so they can't come out for this thing.
Right. I just want toys this season, Jim. That's all I want. I want a little Fang on my desk. That's all I want.
I can get behind that idea. But again, the world of animation, it does get complicated. Let's talk about what just happened in regard to the release date of Sony's Connected, which, by the way, you've said so many nice things about in the past. That this is on a lot of people's radar because of how enthusiastic you are. But what do you think about this film suddenly sharing a release date with Glenn Keane's Over the Moon?
Well, if I were a betting man, Jim, I don't know if Connected is going to make that October 23rd date. Because if you look at some of the more recent promotional materials, there is no date on it. It just says coming soon. And I know that they're finishing mixing this week at Sony, but I don't know. I honestly don't know if it's going to happen. I'm very skeptical. So I don't think it would go the paid VOD route. I think it would probably just get bumped. But as you and I have talked about, next year is already filling up so fast. And a lot of the prime dates for animated movies are already taken. So I don't know what is going to happen. But I did like that new Over the Moon clip. Did you watch the little music video type thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we were talking on the last episode about how now with John Karras co-directing it with Glenn, I mean, again, it's a project I'm getting more and more excited about. Conversely, did you see that 11,000 people have signed the Change.org petition for Warner Brothers and HBO to not bring back Ren and Stimpy?
No, but I'll sign that petition. Sure.
Now, I am genuinely torn about this. Because face it, HBO Max has just done, that wonderful Looney Tunes redo where here are these guys who've working so hard to replicate the look and the feel of the shorts of the 40s. And when Ren and Stimpy debuted in the early 90s, it was revolutionary. And this past weekend, I finally gave in and watched the Happy Happy Joy Joy, the Ren and Stimpy story, the documentary that Ron Cicero has directed. And I know how you feel about the show, Drew. I still think the documentary is worth watching because they really do a nice job of talking about how complicated this situation is. And
Right.
the first version of the documentary was done. And then the BuzzFeed article came out. And only then would John Kricfalusi agree to be part of the documentary.
Interesting.
So he's in it, and it's very strange because he's not necessarily apologetic, but he's trying to apologize. And I mean, you come away from this documentary with a renewed appreciation for the show. You just also get a sense that John Kricfalusi is this incredibly damaged guy. Never mind about the underage girls that he abused. You get a real sense of how the staff who actually made the show suffered under John, who clearly has some severe emotional issues.
Right. And to jeopardize people's jobs like that too. Even if it was just, him not turning things in on time. I mean, you have dozens of people working for you who are then, potentially out of work or whatever. So, yeah, not a great situation.
No, not at all. But they are so forthright about that. And, they talk, especially as they get into season 2 of the series. And I guess they'd only done like 6 episodes for the first season. And, they were this smash hit. And so it's okay. Let's do 20 episodes for season 2. And it's like, it took everything we could do to finish 6 episodes for season 1. And it just to watch this slow motion spin in where he's trying to do the same level of quality. He's trying to do the same level of outrageousness. He's trying to sneak the same sort of adult gags past, Nickelodeon. It's this film that makes me hope someday we'll also get the John Lasseter story done in much the same style, recognizing what the guy actually accomplished, but at the same time, what was also going on behind the scenes that kind of color things. So
yeah, I will watch it. I will watch it.
Good. Okay, all right. And anyway, folks, we were talking just a moment ago about the new live-action Mulan. And when we get back from this break, we're going to take the 30,000-foot view of Disney and its series now of hugely successful live-action redos of its classic animated features.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
Before we get into the live-action redos of Disney's animated classics, we really should pause here for a moment and acknowledge the passing of Sue Nichols, longtime story artist at Disney. She was such a huge part of the second golden age of Disney animation. Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King, Hunchback, Hercules. And in fact, she also worked on the original Mulan back in 98 or thereabouts. And
yeah.
Also, she was with Brenda Chapman and worked on Brave.
She worked on Muppet Babies back in the day. She worked on Cranium Command, my favorite subject.
Coming on the heels of losing Chadwick Boseman last week to colon cancer and to now lose Sue to cancer. Folks, if you have any money to throw at the American Cancer Society, could you do Drew and I a favor and do it? It's just, I'm getting tired of losing people like this, especially in today's world. We need people who can entertain us and inform us more than ever. The fact that we haven't cured this yet is maddening. So anyway, after that downer of a note, Drew, you, of all people on the planet, have a much better insight into the whole Disney live-action version of animated features thing, given that you actually got to sit down with Sean Bailey at Disney, the gentleman who kind of, at the studio, who wrote Hurt on these things, right? Or?
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience because he is the head of the Motion Picture Association at Disney, and he's the one putting all these movies in development, and to sit there for an hour with him in his office and just talk about these movies, and he has a shot from every one of the movies he's produced on his wall that the filmmaker picks out. And the only filmmaker that disagreed with that, Jim, is our little man that we like to know and love as Brad Bird. And Brad Bird made him put up 3 images. He told him exactly how to space the images, which images they would be, and where it should go on his wall. So, if you know Brad and his commitment to perfectionism, and so I thought you would appreciate that.
Just this past weekend on the Essentials at TCM, they played North by Northwest. And to listen to Brad Bird talk about Alfred Hitchcock, it's a film geek's dream. I mean, he had so many great insights into Hitchcock as a filmmaker, coupled with some wonderful behind-the-scenes stories, and really had some great insights into North by Northwest, which I was surprised. That one was made at MGM. I thought Hitchcock, particularly for the latter part of his career, he used Universal as his home base, right? Or?
Yeah, Universal was the Universal ones are really the ones that most people remember. That was, Rear Window, and Vertigo, Psycho, up to Topaz and Frenzy. So, all those were all Universal. But yeah, I think he also had the show at Universal. So yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, he did a lot of things for other people. So yeah, I need to watch that. I haven't watched all of Brad's Essentials, so I got to watch that.
Initially, I was cheating, and I'd record them, and then I'd just watch what Brad said at the beginning of the end. But he did such a good job, for example, with The Searchers, that I had to actually sit down and watch this entire John Ford movie again. Brad's doing his job.
He's working his magic, yeah.
He's working at it. Speaking of doing his job, now, how did Sean describe the start of this? Because I have trouble figuring out when exactly this got going.
I don't have a date exactly, but you and I obviously are old enough to remember that they were sort of doing this in the 90s, too, with the Jungle Book that Stephen Sommers did, which I think is excellent. I love that movie.
Okay.
And the 101 Dalmatians and 102 Dalmatians, and there was a lot of stuff around there.
That is an excellent point. I really hadn't factored those in.
Yeah. Those were great.
But on the other hand, the new wave of these, would you track the start of these back to, say, the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland in 2010, or...
Yes, that is the moment, at least in my piece, that's how I hypothesize it as being Burton comes back to Disney, and this is the first one that he does, and it's a huge hit. I mean, you can talk about the reasons why it's a huge hit. There was obviously the 3D aspect of it played into it in a big way, but I think it's a pretty fun movie. So, I mean, I understand why they were trying to do it, and then, from there we got everything else that followed.
So that's March of 2010, and this generation of the remakes, and again, thank you for pointing out the Jungle Book, the Stephen Sommers, and likewise it was John Hughes who helped get those.
John Hughes wrote, 101 Dalmatians. I think Wes Mayfield maybe directed it, or he directed. I know he directed Flubber. Yeah.
Okay, so we don't get the Cinderella that Kenneth Branagh directed till March of 2015. I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff that Disney does in the period in between there that, sort of looks like they're kicking the tires, so to speak, for things. I mean, we've got The Sorcerer's Apprentice with John Turteltaub and Nicolas Cage, which terrible movie, right?
Terrible movie. And it was so fun. I was sitting next to a guy that was a location scout for that movie in New York, and he said, there's my scene. And it was like, it was gone in an instant. And this poor guy had like labored over finding whatever it was. It was tragic, but what are you going to do?
Okay, but if you go from Alice in Wonderland we then jump to March of 2013, where we do Oz the Great and Powerful, directed by Sam Raimi, not based on a Disney film, and really kind of Sam directed it, or Art directed it, so it was sort of a spiritual sequel to the 39 film. Do you think that factored in at all to,
Yeah, I think it was part of this whole milieu of like high concept, fantasy-based stuff that was going on at the time. But I don't know what the intention of what was with that movie, because I don't know if they were that was supposed to start a franchise or what. Mm-hmm. I think they just wanted people to forget about Return to Oz. I think that was the main goal.
Okay. So we get live action Cinderella, March of 2015. Studio spends like $100 million on it. It makes over $500 million worldwide. And from this point forward, we basically get at least one of these a year. And in 2019, we got 3.
Yeah.
What was the thinking there? Was it, for a certain amount of time, these films were the sort of film we put out in March. Jungle Book slid to April, and then Aladdin slid to May. Yeah. But it seemed like, okay, this is what we're going to do with this chunk of the schedule for this time of year. Did he ever talk about anything like that, or
no? I don't think there was anything. I think one of the interesting things that he said was that a lot of these are sort of intellectual property that anybody can make a movie of, and that when they were making the Jungle Book, they made a conscious decision to put songs in, because at one point there was that other Jungle Book, which I don't know if you ever saw, Mowgli.
Oh yes,
it's on Netflix. It's
Andy
really,
Serkis, is that?
Yeah. It's very bleak, but they knew that movie was coming, and so what they decided midway through production in Jungle Book, they were going to have the songs put back in it. And so I think that they, on that movie, which you note, grossed almost $1 billion worldwide and was obviously a very successful movie critically as well, that they could lean into the Disney of it a little bit more, because you're right, they had Maleficent in 2014, which was was sort of a Sleeping Beauty thing, but sort of not. And that was something that they wanted Tim Burton for as well, and they ended up just getting the production designer from Alice in Wonderland and Oz the Great and Powerful to direct it, and we all know how that turned out.
Yeah.
Not a great fit, but it was something that they learned from, I guess, and they leaned into the Disney a little bit more.
If you look at the directors that Bailey, lined up for this, it is this rogues gallery of heavy hitters. I mean, we Bill Condon, Tim Burton, Guy Ritchie, and of course, Jon Favreau, and getting, Kenneth Branagh to sort of step up and start the whole thing off with Cinderella. Was that one of the conceits going in, that you marry a Disney animated property to a really strong director who has good visual sense? Or
yeah. I mean, if you read that article, I think it was out in 2017, so it was before they even announced that Guy Ritchie was doing Aladdin. But he said, this is like the perfect Guy Ritchie movie. It's a story of a kid from the streets, which is what all of his movies are about, and there's some tough guys and all this stuff, and so he seemed very aware of not giving these properties to somebody that wouldn't do something interesting with them. So, yeah, I think that was a huge part of it. And, I think that you, obviously, after Maleficent, you saw, like, less kind of younger, more unknown filmmakers taking on these properties.
Okay, so through no cause of anybody's fault, I mean, COVID is COVID. But we had Lady and the Tramp come out with the launch of Disney Plus. Was that ever intended for theatrical release, or that was
that was
something...
always a Disney Plus. They wanted a big, splashy Disney movie to come out on Disney Plus, and I liked The Lady and the Tramp. I didn't think it was super memorable, but I liked the Tramp's backstory, and I liked some of the other elements. I thought it was nice.
No, it was fine. But now again, we've got Mulan debuting on Disney Plus this weekend. This is still an ongoing thing at Disney. I mean, take, for example, The Little Mermaid. Production was put on pause in March again because of the coronavirus. So you had some news about that film, what you found on Twitter just today? Or
it was up a couple weeks ago, but Jacob Tremblay has started recording his dialogue as Flounder, probably because they're worried that his voice is going to change. So... There was a very dramatic shot of a little kid in a chair in the middle of a room in front of a microphone. It's how the magic happens, Jim.
Well, wasn't it Wooly Reitherman who had to replace one son with another because was it Jungle Book they were recording? And
I think so.
The kid went through puberty. But yeah, we have a bunch of stuff that's in theory still coming. We have that Sword in the Stone remake that I guess was initially announced back in January of 2018 with a script by Game of Thrones Brian Cogman. We have the live-action Lilo and Stitch, which Dean Dubois, not a fan of.
No.
But yeah, announced in 2018. The gentleman who wrote the script for Aladdin did the live-action Aladdin, did the first pass on that. And I guess as of February, this is now headed to Disney Plus with a script that's being done by Mike Van Wes. And then we had the Robin Hood, which, again, based on the 73 animated feature. Evidently, Cary Granlund, who wrote the script for The Lady and the Tramp redo, is handling the screenplay for that one. And you had some news about the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs redo, right?
Oh, yeah. I've heard that that's going to be in production by the end of the year. So that one's being directed by Mark Webb, who did The Amazing Spider-Man. I'm not really sure why they chose him, but I'm sure Sean Bailey has a good excuse for that one.
And at the same time, we have, I guess, the Pinocchio with Robert Zemeckis and Tom Hanks is picking up steam.
And Hercules by the Russo brothers, who did Endgame and Infinity War, so that'll be big.
Okay. Please talk about Peter and Wendy, because that one, I forgot about that. And that would be in production right now, right? Or
yeah, that is going to be written and directed by the great David Lowery, who did Pete's Dragon, which you have on your sort of tangential list of remakes, but I think that's one of my favorite Disney movies, period, of the past few years. I just think it's so great.
It has some great stuff. It really does.
And they've got, it's looking like Jude Law is going to be Captain Hook in that one, which is super fun.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I'm excited about that. There's the Black Cauldron remake that Disney reacquired the rights in 2016 with the intention.
Cannot wrap my head around that.
Jim, as somebody who just spent way too much time in Black Cauldronville, I can't believe it either.
We also have that Night on Bald Mountain, which I don't know where that fits in with the whole Sorcerer's Apprentice thing, the Nick Cage thing. And we have to mention friend of the show, Josh Gad, and his Hunchback.
Yes. And also Bambi. Bambi's coming out.
Yes. So that's a lot of stuff coming, but again...
It's a lot of stuff, but here's the thing. I think that, like you pointed out, that some of these are kind of earmarked for Disney Plus, some are theatrical. I think that is just totally going to go out the window. I think it's going to be as we've seen this year, Jim, as we have watched The One and Only Ivan, which was previously scheduled for theatrical release, and Mulan on Disney Plus, that there's going to be a lot more flexibility there in terms of what goes where and, what movie is a theatrical movie versus what movie is a VOD movie. So I think there's going to be some latitude there. I don't know if these are actually going to stick at the end of the day, but, we'll see.
Okay. That's certainly an acute observation these days, or an astute observation these days. Oh, before I forget, before we go off for our wonderful long Labor Day weekend, we have, of course, prepped some new Light the Fuse stuff, right?
Oh, Jim, light the fuse is a runaway train or whatever you want to call it. Whatever. Insert your Mission Impossible analogy there. Yeah, we got new episodes.
Going through the channel, right?
The channel, yes. With the helicopter behind us, yeah.
There we go. Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah, we got brand new episodes. We just recorded a couple of episodes with David Koepp, who is one of the most profitable and one of the best screenwriters working in Hollywood today. There's nothing like looking at the jacket for his novel, and it says, combined, his films have brought in $9 billion worldwide. Something to think about, Jim, as I'm checking the couch cushions for quarters. So we talked to him, which is great. He wrote the first Mission Impossible. And he is really, really funny and really was very, very generous with his time, so that's going to be fun. And we've got a whole bunch of fun stuff coming out, Jim, but don't worry. It's all coming.
Okay. It's always so much fun to... And again, in a weird sort of way, you're kind of also a Brad Bird in that I learned so much about the industry from the people you bring on the show. I mean, they come with great stories about Mission Impossible, but they've all worked on so many other fascinating projects with so many other different studios, and I love how you get them to also talk about that while they're talking about
Oh, yeah. Somebody wrote us and said, I'm going to Mission Impossible Film School. I'm learning about every aspect of filmmaking through the lens of Mission Impossible and your podcast, which made me feel very good, but also very silly. But I'm glad people like it, and that's great.
Seriously, folks, if you're not listening, you're missing out on some amazing stuff. And we have some good stuff here at the Jim Hill Media Podcast as well. Len and I just did a brand new Disney dish today. Also just did a new Marvelous Disney with Aaron Adams. Going to knock out a new Universal joint, and soon Michelle is on the mend. Hope to have a new I Want That. If you're looking for us, you head to Twitter and Instagram. We're at Jim Hill Media, and Facebook as Jim Hill Media News. Have a great weekend, and Drew and I will be back soon.